Say you're a CIA operative, you've been on countless missions overseas, you've been shot at, danger is part of your everyday life. Then one day, in the comfort of your own home, on US soil, something strange happens. You hear a sudden, high-pitched sound. It's an intense ringing in your ears like nothing you've ever experienced before. Your vision blurs, you feel vertigo, nausea, distortion. You move from that spot and the sensation stops. Later, you go to the doctor and you're diagnosed with traumatic brain injury. Then the strangest part happens. The organization you've dedicated your life to, your own government, denies it even happened. Pause. This isn't a hypothetical.
Mark Polymeropoulos, a former U.S. intelligence officer,
U.S. official in China,
Florida FBI agent,
Robin and Bria Garfield.
Chris retired as a lieutenant colonel.
Over the past decade, diplomats, intelligence officers, and government personnel reported almost identical symptoms and events around the world, from Havana to Guangzhou to Vienna and even here on United States soil.
Inside the security perimeter, she was descending these stairs toward the White House.
This phenomenon and its associated symptoms has become known as Havana Syndrome. And depending on who you ask, it's either A, a mass psychogenic event, B, some kind of classified new weapon system that we don't know about, or C, a random collection of medical events that somehow spiraled out into this massive geopolitical mystery.
See mass psychogenic illness, there's usually some stressful situation. In the case of Cuba, they certainly were in a stressful situation.
Are you saying that we're not any closer?
There has not been any definitive reporting from the intelligence community.
The government of the United States needs to solve this problem.
These incidents have left our colleagues with profound harm.
At the exact same time, the US government is saying, we don't see any evidence of any device or any attack.
There are disparate opinions across the IC about what the cause of these AHIs may or may not be.
At what point does the intelligence community stop calling this anomalous and start calling it what the Russians themselves have already named it?
That's a great question.
As a systems person, as someone who likes to think about technology and the physics of things, not just the geopolitical implications, instead of focusing on, is Havana Syndrome real? Maybe a better question is, can the physics exist and can a weapon system, as one is being described, exist?
There's no entry or exit wound. How they're designed is to make the target feel like they're crazy.
Imagine a weapons platform that's able to affect an attack that doesn't go boom, that doesn't go bang, and we don't even know if it exists. And the CIA isn't a stranger to this type of technology. Almost since its inception, CIA has been researching assassination tools and techniques that leave zero trace.
But also the toxin itself would not appear in the autopsy? Yes.
The capsule would dissolve in the person's body. It would give them a heart attack, but it would leave no trace. And that was in 1975. Now, one of the most common symptoms universally described by victims of the theoretical Havana Syndrome are the piercing, painful sounds. It almost sounds like a clicking or a pulsing or a high-pitched vibration.
Or sort of a digital sound.
Humming sound. And it was oscillating.
Loud, metallic, screeching noise.
Put a Q-tip too far and you bounced off your eardrum. Well, imagine taking a sharp pencil.
I had tinnitus ringing in my ears and I felt like I was going to be physically sick.
Once people research Havana Syndrome in general, the physics behind it, they usually stumble upon the Frey effect. And that was in 1960 when Alan Frey discovered that pulsed microwave radiation causes an expansion in the brain. Further down the rabbit hole, you'll stumble upon the Moscow signal. A decade prior to this research by Alan Frey, the US Embassy in Moscow was exposed to microwave radiation. Extreme amounts for years. In comes Project Pandora. And Project Pandora was DARPA's initiative to research and understand how radio frequency affects the human body and if that can be weaponized. So let's take a step back and define what even radiation is. Radiation is just energy moving through space. And the difference whether or not it's acceptable, non-ionizing, meaning it doesn't actually affect the chemical bonds between atoms and molecules, which is just a fancy way of saying it's not going to screw us up. Biologically, if you're looking at a spectrum or a graph, low frequency, high frequency, human vision is somewhere in there. That's why we can't see infrared light from a Wi-Fi, which like can't cook anything, to a microwave, to then an X-ray or something even more powerful, is the frequency of the oscillations. It was thought for a long time that it was not possible to create that and direct that because it would require an extraordinary amount of energy. However, there are new developments in technology like gallium nitride. That's why you see a lot of these new chargers market themselves as GaN chargers, G-A-N, gallium nitride, because that allows something to both be high frequency and high energy in a small compact package. With that same concept, you could theoretically use that or apply it to a high energy device and now make it more compact and more powerful.
How can a device that caused so much damage, the damage that's been reported by these victims, but also be portable?
Undercover Homeland Security agents purchased a miniaturized microwave weapon. Tests on rats and sheep show injuries consistent with those seen in humans.
So DARPA's been, openly developing this technology. They're not calling it some kind of secretive weapon. They call it Warden. It's really just a program about exploring advanced waveform control for high-power microwave systems. But unfortunately, it doesn't mean that's proof that Havana Syndrome itself exists, but it does point to the real physics-based possibility for these systems to exist.
My symptoms would get so bad that I would throw up.
My oldest son had massive nosebleeds.
The most concerning symptom for me was memory loss.
I had lost half of my hearing in my left ear.
And now doctors say she has holes in her inner ear canals.
It's devastating. It's absolutely devastating.
Legally blind in one eye.
Correct, yeah.
Our children are the forgotten victims of the Havana Syndrome.
I think it's worth noting that throughout history, as a society, as a community, as a government, we've all been quite ignorant to new technologies. I mean, from a phalanx to a submarine to radar itself to an aircraft carrier, people have categorically, and governments and militaries have said that's not possible. Innovation doesn't stop for policy. So I think it's more important to focus on the potential for a weapon like this to exist than whether or not it theoretically does. And I think that's more powerful than anything someone could say with a pretty image or a scary story.